For a lot of people that may not seem to understand the nature of this experience in here, because there's a feeling of something to be missing. It seems like this cannot be the whole picture of why we're here and who we are. Because even some people may relate to the fact that they never really acknowledge themselves to be who society tends to tell you who you are, which is your name, which is what you do. All of these things, for some people, never really connect to their identity. And for some reason that they don't even understand, it seems like there's something else beyond what we are perceiving. And let me tell you that this is no accident. This is true. In fact, life is way more, and yourself, you are way more than the experience that you remember. And the truth is, everything is already within you. Everything you can access, you can remember because it's there. It's never lost. We have a mind of our own, and the bigger picture of it, the bigger part, is not even on our conscious access. But it doesn't mean that you cannot access it. The moment you start to ask questions of why you're here and who you truly are, and why is this not making much sense for you in terms of the experience you're witnessing, it seems like some memories start to come up online again. It seems like you're starting to connect some extra downloads that you never had before. And for some reason, you're remembering some other lives that you had. You're remembering some experience you had that was not on this planet. You remember a lot of different things that at the first glance you don't really understand what's going on. But if you dig into it, if you keep researching, you'll understand with time that everything actually makes sense. Everything you're seeing, you're remembering, it seems to make sense on the identity that you think you are, or you recognize yourself more as being so. For example, I had a bunch of questions around the reason why I was like I was. Why did I believe on the things that I did? Why was I recognizing some values within me that I thought was traced back to my family, the family in which I was born, but just to come to realize later on in my life that that was not the case. In fact, I was carrying on values. I was being someone that, as my earth experience, I didn't never got taught this way of being as I am. So for some reason, I'm grasping to values and I believe on certain things that was not taught to me ever on this lifetime. So then I start to ask, if I never was taught this, where is this coming from? And this is when memories of other lives actually started to come. I start to witness, to remember something beyond this lifetime. And I must say this before everyone starts to question. I wasn't even aware that I had previous lives. I wasn't aware of my existence beyond this life. All I was like, all that I know was that I was born and was experienced life here. But a lot of things of who I am never connect to like a why in the first place. And because I had a lot of questions that were never answered, I naturally lean into myself to answer the questions by my own. And I was far to understand that indeed those answers would come naturally to me without really have someone to tell me. So today I understand the whole picture of who I am. At least I have a version that actually connects all the dots that were considering as missing links in my memory. Just as I mentioned, usually it's like most people that are just acknowledging this life experience, this lifetime. It seems like we don't have a lot of dots to connect in between to form the whole picture of the puzzle. So we perceive things as being random and not like really entangled. But as you start to go beyond this, you start to see and witness that everything actually is a big picture that connects perfectly, and everything is entangled and set up as it's supposed to be. And so, essentially, if you have a bunch of questions on your own, just lean into yourself. Do this consistently over time. And I would say that most of my memory came back from sleeping times. A lot of times I was waking up in the middle of the night, actually getting downloads of memory. And at the same time, I was accessing information that was not from my own. And I understood that because it was experiences that I knew it wasn't mine. Which is funny because you have memories that come to you. Even if you don't remember, the soon they get in, you understand some things were other lives in which you experience, some others were other people's lives. And even though it seems hard to understand, you actually know what is your life and what is not. You start to sense and feel actually what is your experience and what is not. And again, things naturally connect in your mind. You don't really have to do a whole brain gymnastic to grasp everything. It's a process in which you're getting downloads, and the more downloads you get, all of a sudden everything starts to connect and make sense. So essentially, you can answer yourself whatever you wish for. You just have to ask the questions and be consistent and focus on what you want to be answered. Until you get the answer, you just keep going on pressing on the question that you have. And you will see with time, everything will be answered. The only way or reason for answers not to come is that if you don't believe on the process itself. And let me tell you that I was not really expecting answers this way, but I was still raising the questions on my mind. Because even back when I was a kid, and I just kept doing the same thing over and over, every time I had a question, every time something didn't connect, I was the own, like I was myself asking the questions and trying to get the answers. But because a lot of things were eventually superficial, let's say, for example, the way I build up my companies, the way I build up my life was pretty much getting information either from my own and information from knowledge field, especially the internet. But because I was grasping on so much information all at once, either within or without myself, I was not being aware of how much was coming from within actually. But as more and more came, it became so obvious that it was impossible to deny to myself. And as I was aware of this, it even became more powerful to get answers from within. Because now I know that I can answer everything that I have a question. It's all about making it and keep pressing till you get the answer. So, again, this is a process that everyone can do. No one is really special on having a gift to do this. Because I never grown up on an environment of being gifted on anything like this before. And I wasn't even believing on anything beyond my own existence. So it's not about someone to be special. Because if you go on internet and you research about these topics of existential questions, and if life itself is just what we perceive to be so, or if it's way beyond it, you will see countless people and histories actually telling you the same thing, which is that in fact we are eternal beings. We truly never die. What dies is the body in which we are operating consistently on this lifetime. But after you die, you actually transcend to a different dimension. And the moment you transcend to that space, you start to get all the memory backing up to you. So the moment you get into that space, you almost immediately or with a short amount of time, you will start to integrate all the memory and you'll start to understand that you have countless lives on your own, existing either in this planet or in other ones. And we're not necessarily human beings either. We could be humans on past lives as well, but we can also be other identities, other species that are out there on other planets. And again, I see a lot of people asking questions on things like this. I see people trying to grasp if we are humans or aliens in human bodies. And it doesn't really matter what you were on your past life. Because the truth is, natural evolution made us come from simpler beings in terms of life beings. Everything started with just some particles of light, some particles of energy. This is the essence of everything, energy. Essentially, the world is made of atoms, particles, which is in its essence energy. So everything is made of the same. The beginning of time was pretty much this. And then natural evolution progressed in a way of making more complex life structures throughout time. And even though we consider ourselves to be a natural evolution process, you will understand if you keep searching into this, that in fact, past times already gathered way more complex and way more advanced beings than who we are today. And that's why you see some things on Earth that are just coming to surface again in terms of scientific awareness and knowledge. For example, like the pyramids and other monuments around the world that we thought they were just simple constructs eventually made up from human hands per se, when in fact it wasn't even only humans working to do that. It was another type of species that were on the planet way long time before. And all the things that you see in the pyramids as well, all the beings that you see on the walls, all of those are actually real. All of those already existed. And yeah, it seems like there's a bunch of things to grasp in here, and it's hard for people to actually understand this. when you start to dig into this information. But the truth is, the moment I was aware of life beyond Earth, and even life on Earth to be far beyond what we thought it was, I never stopped to go deeper and deeper. And even if some things that I'm saying here may seem like just overwhelming, if you keep digging into the information, you'll understand that everything actually makes sense and connects, which is very interesting to acknowledge. So, a lot of people on scientific community, after the quantum field theories and the explaining of how actually everything works, essentially everyone is researching for different dimensional spaces. Everyone is researching on different species that are on the planet or outside of it, meaning beings that are far more advanced than us with way more developed technologies. So it's a whole new time to witness on our current history. The time in which we are opening everything that, in truth, already existed a long, long time ago, but we just weren't aware of it. But now everything is coming more and more to surface. Everyday people are just speaking about a lot of events that cannot be explained by human mind, such as things on the space as well, on the skies. A lot of people are witnessing like spacecrafts, spaceships, and all of the things were already proven by humans themselves that this is not human made. So, again, this is a knowledge space that I'm being aware and opening for people to understand, because a lot of us actually come from different lives in which we were integrating experience outside of this planet in which these technologies already exist. So, if you have memory of things that you cannot explain, this may help you to grasp the truth of who you are. And again, it's a whole new time in our history to witness such things. It's really remarkable to see how things are unfolding. And when this comes to our awareness, especially for people that in truth always knew there was something beyond what we thought it existed, everything effectively starts to make sense. And all of a sudden, you understand why you can carry on things that were never taught to you over lifetimes. Because information is never really lost. It may just not be in your own awareness, but it's already and always with you. And if you ask questions, you will trigger that memory to surface once more.